Sannam Art Collection, which was founded in 1965, contains some 2,000 items, which covers a century of South African art history. There are many well-known names and luminary artists in this collection, amongst them starting in the 19th century with Thomas Baines, through the 20s and 30s like Irma Stern and Maggie Loubser, but particularly in the 60s and 70s as South Africa goes through a transition, we see a number of black artists coming to the fore. And in this collection we have a number such as Sidney Khumalo, Esrom Lechai, Leonard Matsotso, and many others. What you see here is actually just a small portion of the collection as such. A large part of it's on exhibition in office spaces, as well as in our own gallery at the Sannam head office. We also lend works to various institutions and often participate in touring shows around the country. We continue to acquire works for the collection and in such keep it relevant to the current state of affairs of this country. Also, we look at it in terms of its value, and at this stage, the value of the collection sits at 152 million rand.
Whenever I walk through an art gallery, I'm always in awe about the beauty of the work. At Sanlam Private Wealth, I think we always try to ask the question, what does provide the value to these wonderful art pieces?
As you stroll through this collection and see the works face to face, what looks back at you really isn't a price tag. You get a real, tangible sense of the cultural wealth of our nation. It makes you think of all the human ideas, experiences, emotions, struggles, and the sheer technical skill that goes into creating just one piece of this artwork. And when you think of it in those terms, then this collection truly becomes priceless.
What perhaps guides and inspires artists to create cultural wealth is very similar to what would guide and inspires wealth managers when they create portfolios for clients. To my mind, there are a few crucial ingredients in this whole process. The first one for me is the fact that you need the skill set to be able to create that piece and to create the wealth for clients. Secondly, you need pure dedication. You need people who apply themselves, and then you also need talented people. And there's a difference between skill set and talent. And then finally, just like in investments, there's no doubt that artists should take risks as well to create something that is really unique and special and that will pass the test of time. In fact, if I may quote US hedge fund manager James Altucher, he said to create something unique and beautiful that lasts and is meaningful is really hard. For it to be truly special, it cannot happen fast. And that is true for investments, and it's certainly true for art. With that spirit in mind, we've begun a new, unique project.
With Stefan's guidance, we've chosen a single work from the Sanlam collection, and then we approached upcoming artists and craftsmen and asked them to re-explore the artist's original work using their own experience and skills to create a brand new work of their own. And in this way, we continue the journey of excellence and inspiration again and again into the future. And we call this project
This work, acquired by Sanlam in 2010, is by the Cape Town artist Ndi Nkwinambi. It is entitled Walk of Numbers.
My work has often expressed journey. The first thing I drew at school was cars. It's always an exciting thing when your parents says, now we are going somewhere. And then you're excited, yeah, I'm going to ride a bus or a train. Which is quite interesting because now often those images come back and then I repaint them in these new works. With the work of numbers, a central image were figures just across the canvas, just across that round canvas. That was what I had in my mind. And then I thought about the journey, again, of my siblings, of my parents, and people who were no longer there. And then when I actually put the ruler as a sort of path. Maybe it was measuring my progress, how far I've come and how far I still need to go in life in general and also with my work. I don't think art is ever finished. There is always room to grow more and learn more. That's what life and art is all about. Again and again, always a voyage of discovery. It will be interesting to find out how Michael will translate my work. I'm really, really looking forward to see how he's gonna reinterpret it.
A lot of my work is about reinterpreting the past, mostly by artists who are no longer here. They died centuries ago. A lot of my interest lies in the porcelain that came from Japan in the 17th century. So the thing with this new project, it's quite a challenge reinterpreting the work of someone who's alive, who will see it, who will have a response to it. And so I really want to make sure I do it properly so that they feel good with it, as well as the fact that I want to add something of my own to it. I work in many different mediums. I'm well known for my love for blue and white porcelain, so working with cobalt glazes on earthenware vessels. But I also do a lot of illustration with my trusty architect black and white pens. So for this work, I decided to kind of echo the idea that it's this wonderful journey that you go along. I wanted the viewer to physically go along that journey too. The work will be 600 centimeters in length. It's about 6 meters. By a nice, neat 30 centimeters high. So you as the viewer, when you start on one end, you'll have to take 6 meters worth of strides to get to the end, following my footsteps through this process. I'm really interested in that relationship between space and artwork. When I look at Nkumbule's work, I think there are certain similarities, in as much as if you look at his work, there's been a lot of time and labor that's been invested into the piece. Similarly with mine, 6 meters of fine illustration. It's a lot of work, a lot of going over, repeating those figures again and again. And I think if you look at those two together, those similarities are quite obvious. What makes this project really unique is that Nkumbule's work ended, and I don't think he envisioned that there would be some kind of continuity from this. I'm really picking up where he left off. As I continue my journey, if you will, he's kind of passed on the baton over to me and I hold it now.
Bogot Numbers was created in 2009 and it's been quite an interesting journey since then. So I'm quite humbled by Michael's translation of the work, which is quite detailed.
It was really quite humbling to see how touched he was by the work that I did. You know, growing up, I've known Nkumbule's work for a while and seen it in the National Gallery and on other shows. So to get that kind of acclaim from someone is actually really special for me.
It's quite nice to see his perspective from behind that window.
It wasn't just the figures that I drew that went on this journey, but I went on one myself. And it was also really interesting seeing the kind of things that came out in the actual artwork. Ultimately, as you get closer towards the end, these things start revealing themselves that you didn't think were possible, which I think is also part of that journey.
There's ups and downs, and again, the journey continues.
I can't really be sure where this is going to take me, or at least where other people are going to pick up from it. So I really like this idea that when you finish an artwork off, it never really ends. It could be the beginning of something again and again.